You know him. Maybe you grew up with him. Maybe you married him. Maybe you work beside him every day and still feel like you barely know him. He's the one who goes quiet when something breaks. Not checked out quiet, focused quiet. The kind of quiet that has weight to it. That signals as something is happening inside that has nothing to do with panic and everything to do with a mind that has already started working on the problem before anyone else in the room has finished reacting to it. Everyone else is still absorbing the information. He is already on the floor with a flashlight. And here is the thing that nobody connects, though it is always there to be connected. That same man left the party early. He has 2 friends, maybe 3, and considers that sufficient. He does not answer his phone on weekends unless something is actually wrong. He prefers his garage to most rooms in the house. He is not unfriendly. He is just somewhere else, in his head, in the middle of something, in the particular silence of a problem that needs solving. Most people look at the fixing and look at the solitude and assume they are separate things. One is a skill, the other is a personality type. He is good with his hands, and he happens to be introverted, and those 2 facts just coexist in the same person by coincidence. They are not coincidence. They are the same thing wearing 2 different faces. To understand what links them, you have to understand what fixing something actually requires. Not the technical knowledge, not the physical skill, the interior condition it requires. Fixing something broken demands a quality of attention that most people never develop, because most environments actively prevent it. It requires the ability to sit with a problem without resolving it immediately, to tolerate not knowing the answer while continuing to look, to resist the pull toward distraction or frustration or the outsourcing of the difficulty to someone else, to stay with the broken thing. In silence, in patience, in the particular kind of presence that does not need anything from the outside world while it is working. That is not a skill that develops in loud rooms. It develops in quiet ones, over years of solitary problem solving, over years of being alone with something that doesn't work and staying there until it does. The solitude did not come after the competence. The solitude is how the competence was built. Think about where it started. For most men who carry this quality, there is a version of the same early scene. Something in the house was broken, a gate, an engine, a circuit, a pipe. And either the person who was supposed to handle it wasn't there, or they were there, but they handed over the wrench and walked away, which in its own way said the same thing. Figure it out. No instruction, no step-by-step, no one standing over the shoulder offering reassurance. Just the broken thing and the boy and the space between them that needed to be crossed alone. And at some point, it crossed. The engine turned, the pipe stopped, the light came back on, and he was the only one in the room when it happened. No one clapped. No one made it a moment. He just put the wrench back in the drawer and went inside. But something changed in that quiet. Something his nervous system filed away as evidence, specific, private, unrepeatable evidence, that the distance between broken and working was a place he could navigate, that he did not need anyone else in that space, that time and quiet and his own attention were sufficient. He has been building his life around that evidence ever since. Here is what that does to a person. Over years, the brain that learned to solve hard things alone does not become a brain that only applies that capacity in the garage. It applies it everywhere, to problems at work, to emotional difficulty, to the moments in relationships where most people reach outward and this man reaches inward. Not because he doesn't feel things, but because inward is where the tools are. And a brain running that kind of deep, uninterrupted processing finds most social environments genuinely costly. Not unpleasant, necessarily. Costly. The noise, the surface-level exchange, the performance of engagement without anything real beneath it. None of that registers as rest for a mind that is always, on some level, working. The solitude is not a preference in the casual sense of preferring one thing over another. It is closer to a requirement. the way that a particular kind of engine requires a particular kind of fuel. The mind that fixes things needs quiet the way it needs oxygen. Not occasionally, but as a baseline condition for functioning at the level it has learned to function at. So he builds his life around quiet, around fewer relationships that go deeper, around the garage on a Saturday night, which is not loneliness. It is the specific fullness of a mind that finally has something worthy of its full attention. But there are two versions of this man, and they look identical from the outside. The first one fixes things because broken things genuinely fascinate him. The gap between not working and working is one of the most interesting places in the world to him. His solitude is full. He's not hiding from anything. He is in the middle of something more interesting than most conversations, and he will come back when he is done, and he will be present when he returns. The second one fixes things because being useful was the condition under which he was valued. Somewhere early, helplessness cost him something. Safety, approval, the sense that his place in the room was secure. And so his nervous system made a quiet, permanent decision. He would never be helpless again. He would always be the one who could handle it. He would make himself indispensable through competence because indispensable things don't get left behind. That is not freedom. That is a survival strategy that learned to look like a superpower. You can tell them apart by what happens when a problem goes unsolved. For the first man, an unsolved problem is interesting. For the second, it is unbearable. A loose thread in the fabric of his sense of safety that he cannot stop pulling at until it is resolved. His solitude is not peaceful, it is vigilant. He is not alone because he likes it. He is alone because people require a kind of vulnerability he no longer knows how to perform. Because somewhere along the way, the ability to say I don't know and I need help got practiced out of existence, not deliberately. He just practiced the opposite thing for so long that the original went somewhere he cannot easily find. Both men end up in the garage. Only one of them is free there. Here is what does not get said about men like this. He is the most capable person in the room and simultaneously the most invisible in it. He can solve the thing no one else can solve and then walk back out and disappear into himself. And most people will remember what got fixed long before they remember who fixed it. He has built it that way. Partly by design, partly because he never learned another way to take up space. He is fully present in a crisis and quietly absent when everything is fine. Small talk is a language he was never taught and never needed, but hand him a real problem, something actually broken, something that requires full attention and real skill. And he's more alive than he has been all week. His mind finally has something worthy of it. Underneath all of that competence, underneath the preference for solitude and the fluency with broken things, there is often a man who built a self-sufficient life partly to protect himself from the specific disappointment of wanting more and not receiving it, who stopped reaching outward not because the reaching didn't matter, but because it went unanswered often enough that reaching began to feel like a liability. His silence is not indifference. His distance is not coldness. His solitude is not the absence of feeling. It is what a particular kind of depth looks like when it has learned to protect itself. Every time he shows up without being asked. Every time he fixes the thing before you noticed it was broken. Every time he works through something alone in the dark so no one else has to carry it. That is not nothing. That is a language. A complete, consistent, costly language that most people never learn to read because it does not translate into the forms of expression they were taught to recognize as care. He holds things quietly, consistently, without requiring acknowledgement, the way a load-bearing wall holds the structure of a house. Not decoratively, not visibly, not in a way that calls attention to itself. But take it away, and everything shifts. He will not tell you any of this. He may not have words for it himself, but somewhere beneath the self-sufficiency and the solitude and the garage and the socket wrench at 9 on a Saturday night, there is a man who has been holding things together for a very long time. and who wonders, sometimes in the quiet, whether anyone has noticed. If this named something you have been carrying without words for it, either about yourself or someone you love, leave it in the comments. Not what you think about it, what you actually felt reading it. That is the part worth saying out loud.